Yeah, thank you. My father was a hypnotist, and he actually used something called past life regression, which people may have heard of, and he was the president of the Association for Past Life Research and Therapies, and when I was a kid, around 13, 14 years old, I was drawn to his work, which was hypnotherapy in essence, and I took over his practice about 5 years ago. And that was in New Jersey, and I'm in the city now. So hypnosis happens to be the family business. I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself a little bit more at the beginning. But yeah, hypnosis is the family business, and incidentally, my dad's first interaction with hypnosis was in 1958 with the U.S. military, where he was trained. He was stationed in San Antonio, and they were doing stuff not unlike MK Ultra and infamous experiments where the science looked like science fiction, and they were really trying to test mind control. Is it real? And again, they discovered no. But we are all highly suggestible. And my dad, in that experience, discovered that he was really good at hypnosis and continued to use it throughout his life. Thank you. Please.
So maybe this is a fantasy, but do you have any experience with hypnosis working for recovery from smoking addiction?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Smoking cessation and habit cessation is a classic. And hypnosis is a very effective tool for working with that. You know, what inhibits that from working is magical thinking. In fact, you know, one of my least favorite things to work with when people come to see me for smoking is smoking cessation, because usually there is some level of magical thinking, not because of any other reason than, again, the PR problem of hypnosis. I think the marketing of hypnosis is, you know, gives the impression that you're going to fall asleep and they're going to take something out of you and you're going to wake up and walk out of there, eternal sunshine of the spotless mind kind of thing, you know? When that couldn't be further from the reality. We still need to do the work, we still need to live our lives, but hypnosis is this incredible tool that's available to us, that is 100% natural and completely safe, that we can use on our own to help aid that process. You know, and again, the way I think of hypnotherapy as a practitioner, it is just a tool laying out on this larger table where you have psychiatry, psychotherapy, every possible thing. You know, and hypnotherapy is just there along the side with these other things. And sometimes it's the right tool for the job, and sometimes you need to use something else. But to answer your question, yeah, for habit cessation of all kinds, hypnotherapy is very effective. Any other questions? Please.
Are there any, could you talk about a few moments where you've seen sort of the power of hypnotism?
Yeah. Geez, there's been a lot of those times. Man. So I mentioned past life regression before. I don't know what happens in the afterlife, and I make no claims to. It's very clear during past life regression, people experience what may or may not be memories of past lifetimes, but they're clearly metaphors for the way we're experiencing dominant themes in our lives at that time. Past life regression being spiritual in nature, too. You know, it opens up this spiritual conversation where people can do all variety of things, even visit loved ones that have passed on. I have a client who lost a child very early on in his life. And completely indirectly, I don't know why this is the one that came to mind. I really don't. There are just a lot of these stories that I would be happy to tell without wanting to take up all the time here tonight. But this one client of mine that I worked with, you know, has had a particularly powerful experience visiting with what she feels to be her son, you know? And our work together has given her a context to do that is safe, that where she can feel accepted, she doesn't have to question what's going on. We can have an honest discourse about, you know, is it real, is it not, who cares? How do you feel afterwards? Wonderful, great, that's all we need to know, you know? So working with her has been transformative for me, and I think it has been for her too. That's the one that comes to mind. Thank you. Please.
Where's the line between guided meditation and hypnosis?
Great question. I think the line is in the intention. You know, the way I compare, say, guided meditation to hypnotherapy to past life regression, meditation I consider the seed of all of this. And I talk about meditation as if it's a glass of water. And when we talk about having a clear mind in meditation, I believe that to be a myth and somewhat confusing. I've never had a clear mind before. But if I look at a glass of water, the water is clear and I can see through it. The contents are there. The water is clear, but the contents are there. So I refer to meditation as a glass of water. Then hypnotherapy is an Olympic-sized pool where we have this larger place that we can explore. We can go over here into the past and over here into the future and explore all kinds of other things. And then past life regression or something like that is the Atlantic Ocean, where the boundaries are pushed all the way out and we aren't sure where it's going to go. So the line between guided meditation and hypnotherapy, again, is in the intention, it's in the context. I'm a hypnotherapist. When people come to my office, that's what they're there for. I sometimes lead guided meditations with groups. And when that's what the exercise is, that's what they are there for. And that's what we are doing. Hypnotherapy, generally, you will have a lot of guidance, a lot of activity. You might examine the past, you may examine the near future, you may examine relationships from different points of view, first person, second person, or third person. You can do all kinds of things. Where meditation, again, the language being tricky sometimes, I really think of as an exercise in stillness, an exercise in returning to that, and not necessarily an absence of guidance, so much as all guidance really serving that. So it's a gray line. And it's a bit of a moving target, but it comes down to the language, it comes down to the intention, and these things that are really hiding in plain sight, the difference. But hypnotherapy, again, in hypnosis, again, as you guys may know, hypnosis is reappropriated all the time and used in sometimes nefarious ways. I mean, politicians and salesmen and pickup artists and stuff like this, it can get really gross. And in these contexts, they don't always call it hypnosis. Sometimes it's called NLP, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Psychology, or other studies of language and persuasion, influence. So the line is very, very blurry, and I do think that there are huge linguistic problems. Again, for all of us, in understanding ourselves and coming back to how we understand ourselves, I think this is where the problem is particularly difficult. Is because we need to know. We need to know what the difference is here as consumers. I need to know what the difference is in my own mind before I can talk about it with you. So it's important. It's important. And these things are incorporeal. We can't touch them. I can't point to them and say, that's what that is. So it is difficult, but that the line for me, it really starts with the intention and the context. Thank you.
Have you encountered people who can't be hypnotized?
Yes and no. All hypnosis being self-hypnosis, whatever's in your head is the trance you're in. Supposedly 70% of the population is the same amount of hypnotizability, and the remaining 30%, the remaining 30%, 15% of that is highly hypnotizable and 15% isn't. But it is a myth that someone who's quote-unquote dumb or unintelligent is easy to hypnotize. In fact, generally those personalities which are more difficult to hypnotize, and an intelligent person will have an easier time with trance. So I don't want to take up too much more
We can
time.
take one more question.
One more question. Or no more questions?
No more questions?
Beautiful. Well, thank you very, very much, everyone.